Hey, gardening friends. Hope everything's going well. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. Hope everyone's going to have a happy new year. And my timer just went off, so that's good. Mechanical timer still works. It's happened to me a couple times. Anyway, I thought I'd take you along. I've been putzing around. I finally got around to cleaning the grow room and organizing things for this next season, Lord willing. We've also been working outside. I talked the kids into, or convinced them to help me for about 3 hours this past weekend to spread leaves. I had the township deliver, actually, my dad had the township deliver like 4 big dump truck loads, and we got 2 of them or 3 of them pretty well worked down. Got the main garden area covered, and the garden area to the is it the south? Yeah, to the south, where my sister used to grow stuff, but I've kind of taken it over because she didn't want to grow anymore. I've got that covered, and we still have the north side to look down, and there's just a lot of leaves. So anyway, all that's going good, but got around this weekend, um, clean things up a little bit, organize things. So just thought I'd show you around the grow room. So I did test all my equipment. The lights still work, still going strong. My LED. I've got 2 different types of LED lights. So I've got this light that's got 2 zones. It's kind of neat. You can turn one of them on. One as it's does pretty good, and I've got a full spectrum. So this one is not full spectrum. I forget what, it's not the red, it's the cooler frequency that's more for the vegetative growth, not for like fruiting plants, but more for plants that are in their vegetative state or that are just, growing and are going to actually be set outside. Whereas this is full spectrum. It's got both the cool and warm frequencies of light. So hypothetically, I could grow a tomato from like start to finish, and it is good for like plants in their vegetative state and in their fruiting state. And it's got a fair amount of adjustments. That's really bright. That's the brightest setting. So it's got 3 different settings. Works pretty well, and it folds up too. That's kind of nice. I got my fan for like late spring and stuff. When it gets kind of humid in here, it keeps the air circulating so that I don't get like the reduces the risk of mold and like diseases that plants tend to get when they're crowded and the airflow isn't good. I got all my growing supplies, kind of went through everything. I've got a brick of Pro Mix. I use about 2 of these in a growing season. It's like 3.8 cubic feet. I got I think that's a 30-pound bag. 40-pound bag of, no, 25 pounds of worm castings. And it's actual worm castings. It's not like the little sawdust. I don't want to call them counterfeit castings, but they're not as, these are more higher quality. And I've got some other things down there, coconut coir, grow mix that I tried last year. I've got some all-purpose fertilizer there. Got my microgreen seeds and some other seeds here. My main seed bank is in the refrigerator. I've got a big container that's got a ton of seeds in it, because if you refrigerate the seeds or keep them at a lower temperature, it extends their life. quite a bit because the metabolism, you know, because the seeds are actually living even though they're dormant. So they do use just a little bit of energy, um, you know, as they age, you know, to stay alive. And so by having them in a cooler space, it slows down the metabolism of the seeds, makes them a lot more viable. You could, you know, search up seed banks, and there's a couple different ones. I think there's one in like Norway or Sweden where they've got stuff in like a deep freeze and like seeds that have been there like 100 years or 100 years old. Anyway, so my main seeds are in the fridge. The other stuff's in this kind of cool place here. The, you know, stuff that I'm going to be using this winter as I'm doing some microgreens. Then we've got the trays. When it was nice, I think it was around Thanksgiving time, I got the pressure washer out. I got this Ryobi, pretty nice, like electric 2000 psi pressure washer, and my daughter helped me pressure wash the trays, you know, and try to clean them up best we could, including all my grow trays down here. So we'll get that all ready to go, but I'll be using these for the microgreens. I like the 5x5s a lot. It seemed like I had less issues growing the microgreens in a 5x5 than I did in a 10x10. But they're all good. I got these from bootstrapfarmer.com. They've got a lot of nice quality products that'll last like a really long time. So all that's here. This was actually to the worm farm that I'm not really using because it worked okay, but I try to set up the next level or layer to get the worms to go up, and a lot of them would, but some of them would stay in this base layer regardless. And then they're real picky about the pH of the bin and all that, and a lot of times what would happen is it would get too acidic or something, come down here and there'd be worms on the floor. So I was like, well, so I still have castings in there, but I'm using this bin right now. I'm just storing it, you know, and maybe I'll get back into worm farming again. But for now, I'm not really doing that. If I do that, I'll probably do like the, I guess this worm bag. Look pretty neat. You notice that the worms can't escape and like crawl over the floor. Then I've got some soil tools up here. Back in the day when I was doing things on a real small scale in the backyard garden, this is a paper potter. This is pretty neat. And basically, you would get your newspaper and cut, you know, tear it into strips in however big a pot you wanted. And I would go ahead and do it past the lines there. I would go up here. You'd start rolling a pot and then fold it in and then grind it on this pedestal until it was formed, and then you'd fill it with soil, and then it's all, you get a biodegradable pot basically. It's been a while since I've used this, and I probably need to put some mineral oil in this. But a neat little tool. When I get this soil dibber, and these are 1-inch increments where you can make a little hole, you know, to plant your seeds. A little scraper, I like using this. This actually came with the worm bin. This, then I've got these soil block tools, which I've been doing soil blocks the last couple years for my plant starts, and then for the tomatoes at least, or the bigger plants like the cucumbers and stuff, upgrading them to pots so they'll start in a soil block, and they get big enough, then I pot them up. And one of the bigger things in the last couple weeks, they're in the grow room, and then by the time we're ready to plant, they're ready to go. Take them out and they got a really nice root ball. You know, it probably would save me time if I didn't do the soil blocks and just planted directly in here, but the advantage of the soil blocks is I can create a bunch of them and then plant a bunch of seeds, and then whichever seeds sprout, you know, which are the strongest ones, those are the ones that I would pot up. So there's some value in doing this. I got some other miscellaneous tools and stuff up here, labeler, my homemade soil knife. This is basically just a tent stake. An old paint scraper. Some pens and stuff. This is a junk shelf. There's all kinds of just junk up here. And then I've got some different fertilizer and stuff. I got this stuff called it's azomite. I need to get some more. And this has been micronized, so it's like you don't want to breathe this stuff in, but it's got basically mine from I think somewhere in anyway, it's got all the minerals from A to Z. That's why they call it azomite. It also has some bad stuff in there too. I'm trying to remember what it was. Arsenic. You know, just in like minuscule quantity and stuff. It's not enough that's going to harm or anything like that. But I had a little bit of this in with my other amendments and my grow mix to give the plants a really good start. And I've got my mid-lighter mineral mix again. The big garden, like once everything's established, I do kind of a hybrid version where I'm not doing like true mid-lighter gardening, but I'll use the weekly feed to supplement my plants. And I think the sun is online, starting to my I should get him down here and have him do a video with me. He's wet. There we go. There we go. Technically, you just grow your microgreens and you don't need any kind of fertilizer. They'll sprout, you know, get to a little bit of a height and they'll stall out and you would eat them. You're going to be eating them anyway in like 7 to 10 days more than likely. But one of the main reasons why you grow microgreens is for the health benefits, for the nutrients. So it doesn't make sense to starve those little plants when you're trying to maximize their nutritional value. So putting some of the Gaia Green stuff in there, they end up being more vigorous and a higher yield or result from starting the microgreens using that. They're going to be more nutrient dense. In terms of why they're more nutrient dense, it's because you're getting the plant at its at the peak of its development stage where it's wanting to grow very quickly, and so you're catching it before it really takes off, and those nutrients are distributed or diluted through a bigger structure as it's growing, right? So you're getting it all condensed in a little plant. So you're getting more nutritional value, anywhere like 4 to 40 times more nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and stuff like that if you get them while they're small. So I do have some microgreens started. I'm not doing a whole lot because we'll get quite a bit. But with your help, my channel will grow. I've been doing YouTube now for, I don't know, 10 years? I'd have to go back and see. Maybe longer than that. And it's, you know, I do it when I want to do it. I'm not one of these diehard YouTubers that are making videos every day, or like, you know, at set times during the week, or trying to like create a name for myself or a brand or anything. I'm just like, as we're doing life and I feel like making a video, I'll make a video. And some of my stuff is good and some of my stuff is just not so good. But we're having fun. Anyway, I've got a 10 by 20 tray here. And the goal is you want to make basically like a germination chamber. You want to make the an environment that is very conducive for the seeds to basically trick them into sprouting or convince them to sprout. So the things that you need, there's really only two things you need. You need moisture and you need heat. If the temperature is right and there's moisture to soften up the seed, the outer seed coat, that seed is going to sprout. Now what it sprouts into, I mean, you do need kind of a soil medium too. Like you can't just throw a bunch of seeds in a glass of water, you know, and hope for the best. What will happen is the seeds will actually drown. Some seeds won't. Some will go ahead and sprout, but a lot of them will just die. So you do need something to grow them on, whether it's like a little grow mat or some soil mix or dirt or rocks, something. And as you can see, these have been in here one day. And I've got the heat mat set at 80. Well, now it's actually at 74.6 right now. I had a little probe in here. It's going crazy because I knocked it out. I had the probe right there to measure that. I moistened this. What I did was I had moistened the grow mix, which again, a tablespoon per 1 gallon. Mix that up real good with my drill with the paint mixer. Had it moistened down. Took my little 5x5, filled it about 3/4 way with the grow mix, and used another one of these to kind of press it down so it's nice and firm. Put about a tablespoon of seed in there and spread it around by hand. And then I took paper towels and I just took my pizza. This is an old pizza stone, by the way. It works out great for like my soil blocks and like anything where I want a hard surface. So I traced out my paper towels and cut paper towels and laid it on here. And then just watered these in. And the paper towels kept the seeds from like diffusing all over the place, kept the seeds in place, but they also lock moisture in right on the seeds. But because they're on grow mix, you know, the rest of the water went down through, and then I filled the tray with about a 1/2 inch of water. So I'm creating an environment now where it can wick through capillary action as water evaporates and escapes this tray. You know, it goes back down into the reservoir if I keep this lid on here, but basically I create a nice environment where the seeds are going to stay nice and moist. But you can see they've already sprouted because the conditions are basically perfect for them to grow. And so I'm going to leave this on here actually another 2 days. And what will happen is, as all these are sprouting, they'll push the paper towel up. And once it's up a little bit, I'll just peel that paper towel back and then take this lid off and then I'll keep bottom watering it, adding a little bit of water if it gets dry, and this stuff will just grow, and it'll be awesome. So, why am I using paper towels? Like, why don't I just cover that with like dirt or like potting mix, right? Well, because I want the microgreens to be clean, so I don't have to mess with them as much. They're easier to harvest, easier to clean. Like when I'm rinsing them or whatever, I don't have all that dirt or soil substrate, potting mix mixed in. Now they get tall enough you can just kind of brush it off by hand, but doing it this way, I eliminate a lot of that, and they'll sprout up and grow. Whereas if I didn't, because so many of them are growing together in pretty dense space, they push the potting mix up, and some of it gets caught in the leaves and stuff. And again, it just makes it harder to clean the microgreens if you put something else on there other than like paper towel or a shelf liner or another tray. Some people would just put another tray on there, and the strength of the greens will actually push that tray up, and then they'll remove the tray. So I mean, there's a couple different ways to facilitate it, but basically I'm doing it so that the seeds stay nice and moist, and I increase my chances of them sprouting, and we have a good success with it. So I've got 2 trays of broccoli and 2 trays of the radishes. The radishes are like peppery and kind of got a nice peppery radish taste, and then the broccoli like has this real nice buttery taste. Is really good. The other cool thing about the broccoli sprouts is that they have this compound in them called sulforaphane or whatever, and it's like an anti-cancer compound. There's been a lot of research done on it, but packed with all kinds of nutrition. There's all kinds of vitamins in there. I could have probably looked them up and told you guys, but let you guys do your own research on it. Maybe I'll make another video about that, about all the nutritional benefits for the greens. The other thing that's cool about these greens is that some plants are actually toxic to the body, like I mean, there's different views on this, but like if you do my buddy Tom, he's on the carnivore diet, so he doesn't eat a lot of vegetables, kind of minimal. Most of the stuff he's eating is meat because it just absorbs better. And like as far as his biochemistry, like he's had a lot of really good success. And like if you look at your anatomy, the human body is designed to eat mostly meat. It does have the ability to digest some vegetables, or deal with vegetables and stuff like that, where we can be omnivores, but we're more suited to like a protein based or a meat based diet. Depending, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's got a different biochemistry. Some people have like reactions, to things, where and anymore it just seems like a lot of people have digestive issues, where either they can't have dairy, or they're dairy sensitive, or they can't tolerate gluten, or other things, or peanut allergies. I don't remember growing up, it was rare. I mean, most kids could eat pretty much anything, right? Whereas now you see a lot of folks having trouble with things, and a lot of it's because of the junk that's in our food. All just industrial food is our food that's most food that's manufactured through like the industrial farming complex is toxic to us. You know, it's got all kinds of preservatives, you know, residual pesticides, insecticides, um, not nearly as nutrient dense as like stuff that you could buy like 50 years ago, because the farming practices have changed, and like they're just trying to maximize what they can get from the soil. So a lot of the you know, they're focused on the big three fertilizers, NPK, you know, and so the trace minerals and things like that, there's not as many, you know, and I think there's a movement to try to correct that, you know, regenerative agriculture, where they're trying to fix that, and there's options out there now where you can get, I guess, whole foods, you know, and or things that are grown organically, without any kind of, you know, pesticides, insecticides, stuff like that, additives, you know, chemical fertilizers, things like that. But I don't know. It's kind of living in a time where you really have to be aware and cognizant of what you're doing and what you're putting in your body. And I don't know. I mean, the average person, do they have? I mean, it's tough. You don't want to have to worry about what you're going to eat. You know, ideally, we shouldn't have to worry about the safety of our food, or whether it's nutritious or not, or whether it's poisoning us. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, I ate M&Ms over the holidays. You know, I've had Chick-fil-A. I've had, you know, you know, I'm not, you know, I've had movie theater popcorn, you know, and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm sure there's things I've had that maybe aren't the best for me, but at the same time, there's other, you know, I'm trying to do what I can without it being like I guess, an idol, I guess, you know, where I'm so fixated on, you can become so fixated over your diet that's, I mean, it controls everything you do. Now, I'm not saying like disregard everything, you know, and just reckless abandon, right? And eat whatever you want to eat. I think there's probably a fine line in there. But at the end of the day, you just do the best you can, and the goal really is to feel better, or just to feel good, feel like you're supposed to. And so I think for me, it's just eating in moderation, you know, eating more protein now that I'm getting older, and then less carbs, you know, more vegetables, but try to get vegetables like this that aren't as toxic to the body, that are more easily absorbed, or in terms of getting the nutrients, you know, that I need to feel okay. And you just do the best you can do. I don't know. There's probably more. We could probably make a whole nother video on that, or probably do like a live stream. We could probably do another live stream on that, and just let folks ask questions. You know, the 3 people that are watching my video right now, or the 1. You know. So anyway, I've been kind of rambling long enough, but hopefully, as I will show you around, we're going to try to ramp up the microgreen production. Each one of those little 5x5 trays, I would get a pretty good size, like really chock full quart size bag of greens out of that, depending, sometimes a little bit more, depending on the variety and how many seeds are in there. And so in about 7 days, these will be ready. you know, you can see they're already sprouting because the conditions are ideal. So in 3 days, it'll be pretty well sprouted. I'll give them another like 4 or 5 days to grow. And like within 7 to 10 days, we'll be harvesting. And then I'll start another round because these will be good for at least 10 days if they're stored correctly. And how I store them is I'll put a paper towel in a Ziploc bag. If I do wash the greens, sometimes they're clean enough I don't really need to wash them. I can just harvest them with a knife, take them off, just make sure they're good. But a lot of times I will run them through a salad spinner, and you know, I'll soak them, let anything, any kind of foreign particles and stuff come off of them and stuff. But I'll try to harvest them, dry them, and the key is to keep them dry. Moisture is not a microgreen's friend once they've been harvested. It actually accelerates their decomposition. So when you get the greens, you want to try to get them dry, keep them dry. You know, we've done it before where once they've sprouted and are good, I'll take them upstairs and just put them on the counter and let people harvest them as they want them instead of harvesting them. And that's if I know they're going to be eaten within a couple of days. If it's going to be longer, I'll go ahead and harvest them, because if they go too long, then they're no longer microgreens. They're plants, right? And the flavor changes, and it's a little different. So I'll try to put a little paper towel in there. Put them in there dry, or you know, as dry as I can get them, and then put them in the refrigerator. And also keep the other thing is to try to seal the bag so there's not a lot of air in them. Air and moisture are what causes stuff to possibly go bad. What kind they are? So they're broccoli and rainbow radishes is what I've got right now, going in the grow room. But I do have a couple others I'll show you. I mean, there's tons of varieties. So like I've done lettuce as microgreens. So I got a couple of different varieties of lettuce that I'll grow. I'm going to do this mammoth red rock cabbage later this year. I'm also going to do cilantro. And then I've got this sprouting wheat. Like a lot of people, they like to grow wheatgrass and then juice it, and I've done that, so I've got seed to do that later. And then sunflowers, those are really tasty too. So I've got black oil sunflower seeds, the small ones. And depending on the variety, again, they'll sprout and be ready to harvest anywhere between like 7 and like 21 days, depending on what you're growing. The sunflowers take a little bit longer, but like the broccoli and the basically the stuff in the brassica family, like the cabbage, kale, all that stuff, usually within 7 days, it's ready to go. And then we got some, I got some other stuff as well, but pretty much that's the plan. We're going to start with just the 4, and that should be good for us for a while. And then I'll, depending on how quickly we eat those greens, we'll grow more. And if I have friends that are interested, that maybe want some, maybe I'll scale up production. But right now I'm just doing it for our family. I've got the trays and the space right now that I could do more, and maybe I will, depending on demand. But we'll be doing this throughout the winter and into spring. The other thing that will affect how quickly things grow and are ready to harvest is temperature. So again, I got these on a heat mat, and they're under a dome right now. So they're going to grow pretty quick. But once I take the lid off, they're going to slow down. I'll still be able to harvest them probably within 7 days because it's warm enough in the grow room. You know, it's like 60 degrees down here, I think. Yeah, right at 60. But as winter goes on and it gets colder outside, it's going to get colder in here. And unless I'm running both mats, you know, it can get down to 50 in here. And we'll slow things down. So anyway, that's pretty much what we got going on. It'll be fun, just something to do during the winter. You know, as we're kind of waiting for spring. I'll also be planting the garden, you know, figuring out what we want to do this next year. We got, you know, a couple of dynamics at play. I've got a daughter that's going to be getting married in February. And then my kids, they're getting older and they're not as available, you know, when they were smaller. And I've got all kinds of YouTube videos when they were little, you know, basically whatever I did, they did. So if I wanted to go to the garden, I would just take them with me, and they really didn't have a choice, and they thought it was fun, you know, and then they became teenagers, and then it wasn't as much fun for them, you know, it was more work for them, right? And so now, at least the older ones, it's more on a volunteer basis because, I mean, they've got stuff going on. So I don't have as much help. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do things differently, I think, you know, for it to be more sustainable. You know, my dad, he's, I think, 82. Is that right? Anyway, you know, he doesn't want to, he's got things he's doing. He's pretty active. So, I mean, he doesn't want to be a slave to the garden. I guess that's the thing is like, you know, you want this, I want to get something out of it, but it's going to add value to the family too. I don't want it to be something where we're a slave to it and it starts affecting, you know, our relationships with other people, you know, to where I'm tied to all these chores and like all my free time is tied up doing work, you know, in terms of like it's work, right? So yeah, hydroponics. We're growing stuff on here. Hydroponics is can be lower maintenance depending on how you set it up. And there's people that grow microgreens hydroponically, and they use I think they're like hemp mats or a different substrate to get the seeds to sprout on. And what I've read, you know, and I haven't experienced because I haven't actually tried growing the microgreens hydroponically, is that the stuff that's grown in the soil or the grow mix with fertilizer based type stuff as opposed to hydroponically tastes better. They got a better, more complex flavor, supposedly. I don't know. But anyway, the point is we want to make this, I want this to be sustainable and fun and easy where it is a hobby, and it's not laborious, and I'm not a slave to it, and I can do it when I want to do it on my time. Um, or as I have help, and I don't want it to be a burden to my family, whatever we're doing, right? And the garden is at times a burden for my family, because like we got these huge leaf piles now that because we're doing cover mulch out there, so I got to figure out a easier way, or I just need to get have a party and get some pizzas, or do a cookout or something, and invite my friends to come over and help. Maybe they can bring their kids and we make a day of it, right, and get it knocked out. maybe that's maybe that's the approach, right? But anywho, we're just having fun, and grateful to have this space, at least for the time being, where we can do this. I'm trying to make another video or a live stream when everything's grown, when I can show you the results, and kind of walk you through like how long it took and what we got out of it. Maybe weigh the produce that I get out of this. It'd be kind of interesting. So other than that, I think that's it. We're gonna get ready for the week, go back to work tomorrow, and I'm sure it's gonna be a busy day coming back from the holiday and stuff. But appreciate everyone tuning in, and until next time, happy gardening. We'll catch you all later at some point.